Hey everyone, it's Reilly with another all-English episode, and I'm here this time with a guest.
Hello, it's me, Yuki.
Yeah, Yuki's here. Anyway, Yuki, we were talking about this at work, I guess, but have you noticed this rainy season, there wasn't a lot of rain?
It's pretty short.
It was last week, maybe rained 3 times here.
Yeah, no, it's very hot.
Very hot, but gonna get hotter, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, maybe in other areas of Japan it rained a bit more. Maybe it's Kagawa being the
driest.
The driest prefecture. Yeah, I don't know. But I get the feeling that it really didn't rain that much, and it was a pretty short rainy season, which is, I don't know. I just did an episode on the rainy season, and it's kind of funny if I talked about it and then it didn't really rain.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway. Okay. We're not going to talk about the rainy season anymore this episode. We're going to talk about kids. Don't get too excited. But, bilingual kids, I guess. A lot of our friends, a lot of the people around us are having kids in the next, month?
Yeah, lots of babies this summer.
Yeah, there's 3 babies coming this summer that we know closely.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we don't know the babies, we know their parents.
Yes.
And yeah, so it's got us thinking. All of those are with one of the people in the couple is a foreigner, right? The man in every case.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's got us thinking about how to raise kids to be bilingual, I guess, to speak English and Japanese.
Or, yeah, we've been thinking how we would do it.
How we would do it, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's got us thinking about kids and then how we would, do that part of raising the kids. How we would make sure that they can speak both of the languages.
Perfectly?
Ideally, yeah. Anyway, before we get going, my Instagram is Reilly Sullivan XD. Sota is Eigo no Sota. Do you want to say your Instagram?
Nah.
Okay, hers is a secret. Let's get into the episode. Okay, yeah. So, for our situation, when we eventually have kids, most likely we'll both speak English at home. That's what we do now. We speak English, pretty much 100% of the time to each other.
Unless you want to practice your Japanese.
Right, unless I want to practice my Japanese, which usually lasts 20 minutes.
An hour?
Maybe an hour max, yeah. But yeah, so I guess after we have a kid, that would probably continue in the same way. We would speak English together like we've always spoken English. I don't know, for people who haven't listened to the podcast for a long time and don't know Yuki's background, I guess, is that Yuki is, obviously, maybe you can tell by the name Yuki. Yuki is Japanese, by blood? How would you say that?
Mm-hmm.
Both her parents were born in Japan. But
grew up in the United States.
Yeah, but you want to talk a little bit more about it?
Well, what should I say? I don't know.
I don't know. You spoke Japanese. You speak Japanese.
Yeah. I spoke Japanese at home with my parents and my siblings, but everywhere else that wasn't home, school, I would just speak English all the time. So it was like that until I graduated college, and then I moved to Japan.
Right. And so, your parents obviously spoke Japanese to each other 100% of the time.
Yeah.
Spoke Japanese to you 100% of the time, would you say? Pretty
Yeah.
much? Maybe if you were out with your friends or something, they would speak English? Or?
Oh, sure. But, yeah, it was rare. I don't know.
Right. So, I guess our situation in Japan would be something like the opposite of that, where we would speak English 100% of the time to each other, to our kid, and then maybe use Japanese just for when other Japanese people need to understand us.
Yeah, outside of the house or whatever.
Yeah. So then in our sorry, excuse me. In our situation, maybe the more important thing would be making sure that our kid learns Japanese early enough.
But that shouldn't be a problem, right? If we use Japanese whenever we go shopping, or if they go to like a pre-K
Yeah, a preschool.
daycare.
Yeah, daycare, whatever. From a young enough age, right? I mean, if they go to a Japanese one, then it should be pretty normal.
Yeah.
I don't know. Somebody mentioned to me recently that, like, you might want to speak some Japanese to your kid at home so that they're not, like, behind when they go to yochien, to, like, kindergarten or whatever.
But it doesn't really matter if they're behind in yochien. They would absorb Japanese quick enough, right?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of, like, laughed at it. I was like, what do you mean behind in yochien? Like, you are your kid. You need to go to, like, the pre-yochien training class before you go, like...
Well, that seems like a very Japanese way of thinking. Was that a Japanese person?
Really? It was Tim.
Oh.
But I mean, it's crazy, right? To be
Yeah.
like, you need to do like a college prep course, but for your preschool. You go to cram school before you go to preschool. No, I don't know. So I don't think that's really the case, and especially like, I don't know if you end up working or whatever, then we probably have to send the kid to like Japanese daycare, childcare.
Well, I would hope to send them anyways.
Just to get them...
Yeah, socialized.
Yeah, sure. That's fair. But okay, maybe... So our situation is kind of unique in that regard. But I think the opposite that a lot of our friends are doing, a lot of our friends who are foreign men, English-speaking men with Japanese wives, Japanese baby mamas, you could say.
You could say that.
Well, maybe I shouldn't. Is that what you're saying? But so they are thinking about sending their kid to English language preschool, like an English immersion preschool.
Oh, right. To make sure that they get the English they need.
Yeah, because I think obviously most of the moms are going to want to speak to their kid in Japanese and like their native language, their mother tongue, so to speak, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, and a mom spends a lot more time with the kid than the dad does in most families, I would say.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think like the language that you get from your mom is probably the most important one for like what you, I don't know, grow up speaking or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, I said it already, but that's probably why they call it the mother tongue.
Oh, sure.
Right. Your vocal
mom's
right?
tongue. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think in that situation, maybe it's probably good to send your kid to a immersion kindergarten or whatever. If what you're focusing on is like the kid being able to communicate in English. But I will say, because we work at what do we call it? English after school program, right?
Yes.
That like there are a few of them in Takamatsu. There are a few of these immersion kindergartens,
Like international schools or whatever.
Yeah, but international schools for like 5-year-olds,
Yeah.
younger,
Yeah.
like 2 to 5 or whatever, right? And there can be a pretty big difference between the amount of English that those kids actually speak by the time they get to our school, which is usually, I mean, it can be even kindergarten. It can be like 5 or 6 years old, but oftentimes it's first grade. And there can be a pretty big gap between how the schools enforce the English or how much English the kids are required to speak at the school. I don't actually know what the situation is, but I can tell you that kids from this school tend to be much better at speaking English than kids from another school.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how, as a parent, you check that.
To like make sure that the daycare does a good job?
Yeah. Like I'm saying, like if we have listeners, I'm sure we do in Tokyo or wherever, where there's probably a few different schools they could choose from. How do you know like which one is going to be the one that will like make your kid the best at English or whatever? Make sure your kid really can speak English when they graduate from the preschool or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I guess getting to talk to the alumni would be the best choice, but I don't know. Can you do that?
Get a meeting with the graduates.
Yeah.
I mean, you could probably at the very least like watch a lesson or something like that, right?
Yeah, but that only tells you so much.
You can
Right.
see, I think probably a big clue would be if the children are speaking to each other in English away from the
Oh.
teacher.
Yeah.
Like, because I mean, even at our English after school, which is not really immersion, but it's like kind of supposed to be or whatever. Like, the kids are supposed to be speaking English all the time, but we're lucky if they speak to the teachers in English all the time. They almost never speak to each other in English, right?
Yeah. I don't know how to encourage that or how the teachers manage it.
I'm imagining that it's easier with younger kids, especially like 2-year-olds. They don't have a choice really, right? But like the older they get, I think the harder it is to enforce the language they use when speaking to each other. But anyway, I think choosing a bilingual kindergarten is probably important, and I'm not even too sure on these details, but a bilingual kindergarten or immersion kindergarten or whatever might cost more money than the regular kind. I don't know, they might be private or something like that.
Maybe. But I guess we wouldn't use them either way.
We wouldn't.
Yeah.
I'm saying listeners might,
Oh.
or our friends probably will.
Yeah, that's true.
But if you can't do that, right, if you can't afford to send your kid to like a private kindergarten or something like that, I don't know, what are the options? Like,
Well, you used to watch like movies or something in other languages, right?
yeah, my mom would have me watch, the one I remember the most is The Jungle Book. I think it was the Jungle Book TV series, not the movie.
Not the movie.
In Spanish. And I watched it. My memory is that I watched it a lot. But I don't know if that could be a real memory, because I think I was supposed to be like 2 or 3.
But do you think it helped you learn Spanish or like more easily?
It's hard to say, because I think there's a big gap between that time. I couldn't have been 2 or 3. I don't even know if the TV series was out then.
Oh, I don't know.
But anyway, whatever age I was when I was watching it, like kindergarten age or earlier, there was a big gap between then and when I started like really learning Spanish in 7th grade. So when I was 12, 13? So I don't know, but I will say that, like, patting myself on the back here, I guess, that my like Spanish accent, my pronunciation of Spanish, even like early on, was better than most of the other
Classmates or whatever?
most of my classmates. And I don't know if that's because I got exposed to the sounds of Spanish early, or just because it's something I'm like kind of, I don't know, good at or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I watched a lot of Japanese media too growing up. Like, we had a bunch of videotapes, and I would listen to a lot of like, what do you call them? Cassette tapes?
Yeah.
With like Japanese stories and like songs on them. But I think that helped with my Japanese, but yeah, I don't know how else to immerse a kid.
Yeah, I think that's almost all you can do. I mean, I think as maybe listeners of this podcast, maybe people could try speaking English with their kid sometimes or whatever. I know some of the parents of our students do that. They try to speak English with their kid, like in certain situations or whatever. I think that's probably helpful. And then, yeah, just as much media as you can.
Well,
whatever,
yeah.
YouTube nowadays. We met we went on like a little school trip, right? And we met these 2 girls who were not our regular students, but they said that they didn't go to English school or anything like that. Maybe like Kumon, I forget. But they like were very good in communicating in English. Like sounded not quite native, but like very comfortable speaking English. And they said it was like entirely from being obsessed with YouTube. Like they watched one of those like toy channels or something like that, right?
Right. I think we meet a lot of people who are very good at English, we find out that they love a TV series or they're obsessed with a YouTuber that speaks English. And once they find something they really like, then of course they're going to pick up the language too.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I met, when I first came to Japan, like literally my first or second day in Japan, I met this girl from the Philippines who sounded American. And I was like, are you sure you've never lived in like America or Canada or anything like that? And she's like, no, I just loved, I think, the Disney Channel or something like that when I was a kid. So I like started to talk like these American actors who were on the Disney Channel. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I don't know. I guess that works. But I don't know how you make your kid obsessed with media to the point of like copying the actors' accents or whatever.
Right.
I mean, Sota famously, right, speaks English as well as he does because he was kind of obsessed with Taylor Swift and sounding...
And Disney, right?
And Disney too, I think, yeah, Disney movies. I don't know about Disney Channel. I don't think that's probably hard to get here. But yeah, Disney movies at least, right? Mm-hmm. So I think that is a route if you can try to like instill in your kid a love of English media somehow.
Right.
That could be useful. And then I think after that, I mean, not to say obviously the entire time I've lived in Japan, I've worked as a English after school teacher, right? Like teaching. At my previous job, kids would come like 45 minutes a week to come to our lessons and learn English. And I think it helped them. They were certainly better at English than kids who just went to school and got the English lessons in the elementary school classroom or whatever. So I think that like that is a route that is, it sounds kind of mean, but like better than nothing. Mm-hmm. You know, it can help your kid be good at English, but it's probably not enough to make your kid bilingual.
Yeah, they have to find something they like. Right.
It has to be kind of on them at some point. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think, and another thing I think about to bring it back to like our future children or whatever is to make sure that the kid is like not just good at speaking English, because I think for us that will not be that difficult, but to make sure that they're like educated in English. Does that make sense?
You mean reading and writing or like a cultural thing?
I kind of mean all of it. I was more talking reading and writing, but like, yeah, kind of all of it.
So like read them English books?
Yeah, and then make sure when I'm talking more like, you know, junior high school age.
Oh.
Like, to think like, obviously by that time I expect that our kid will be able to speak English to us without like a communication barrier or anything like that. But
then they might be like me and can't read or write.
Yeah, like when you came to Japan, right, you were not illiterate, but...
No, I could read some, but it took a lot of extra studying to try to work in Japan and get around with all the bureaucracy, whatever paperwork I had to do.
That's still hard.
Well, yeah, even if you know the language.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I think that kind of stuff, I mean, I don't know. I would like it to be an option for our kid to like go to university in another country if they want to, like an English-speaking country or
yeah, of course,
an English medium university or whatever. So I think for that reason they would have to be able to, yeah, I don't know, write an essay in English or read a serious book in English or something like that. But that, I don't know, short of like sending our kid to a English medium high school or whatever, an international high school, which I don't foresee us having the money to be able to do. Mm-hmm. What, we have to kind of homeschool in a way or something like that?
My parents got me, well, in Japanese it's called like tsushin kyoiku. It's like you mail in your homework and stuff.
Correspondence school, I think they call it.
Yeah, I hated it. I think that's why I didn't learn how to read and write properly.
Yeah, I don't think I knew that that's what you did. So you didn't like have a teacher? You just had like worksheets and then would send...
And I would ask my mom how to write whatever, kanji and stuff.
Yeah. And then you would send it in to some school in Japan? Or was it just like mailing it to like a school that in a bigger city or something.
I don't know.
Well, fair enough. You were 6 or whatever. Yeah. I mean,
but I did live in a neighborhood with some Japanese people, so I went to like a Japanese Saturday school for a year or 2 or something.
Okay. And I wonder, I mean, for us, I don't know if that's probably not an option here in Kagawa unless we
just send them to our friend's house.
That's what I was thinking. What if we have like a cooperative tutoring or something?
What?
Like homeschooling, but we like hippies about it. We like share the responsibility of teaching. Like, oh, it's the first Saturday of the month, so it's my job to teach.
A co-op or
yeah.
communal living.
I don't know. That's probably crazy. And also, I don't know if I want some of our friends teaching our kids. They can barely read themselves.
No.
I'm kidding. But yeah, I mean, that is something that I think about, and like being able to get like obviously we couldn't get like a high school education, like an American high school education or whatever, but to have our kid be able to speak English, or not even just speak, but like use English to an ability that would be okay for a university.
Yeah, it's a challenge.
But not hopefully, that is several years down the line, a decade down the line.
Oh, yeah.
So I guess maybe we'll cross that bridge when we get to it, and then in the meantime, it's mostly just like the baby stuff.
That's fun.
It's more fun, I think, right? Like playing the Wiggles or whatever. Do we want to recommend some stuff like English medium? I mean, there's so much on like YouTube or Netflix or something. There's almost nothing that we could...
Yeah, there's not much we could say.
Yeah. But I don't know. Yeah, those are good resources. YouTube and Netflix and whatever. I don't know. Google.
Google top 100 children's books.
Yeah, top 100 children's books, which are not that hard to get in Japan, surprisingly. Like,
you could probably get them on Amazon.
Yeah, or there's is it called like Blackwell or something like that? There's another book site I use to buy like my books.
Oh.
And surprisingly, they're a little bit more expensive than buying a book in like a Japanese bookstore, but they're not crazy. I think we do it sometimes for work too, like when we need a book for a class. It's like probably more expensive than, maybe even double. But what's a regular kid's book, like 1,000 yen?
Right.
2,000 yen. It's expensive if you're going to have a whole bookshelf, but it's not crazy.
Right. Yeah, as a kid, I had a lot of Japanese picture books, and I think that...
You still did last time I was at your parents' house.
Well, yeah, they keep everything from my childhood.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that enriched my Japanese language learning.
Yeah, and maybe gave you some cultural touchstones.
Yeah, I know all the folk tales.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
It is kind of funny to think about that. I'm not trying to tease you here, but like
what?
Your cultural connection to Japan is like from when you were 6 years old, and then there's like a big gap until you're like 20 years old.
Oh yeah, I have no pop culture knowledge.
Like celebrities, could you name how many Japanese celebrities?
Not
could you
many.
Yeah.
But my dad had a CD he would play in the car a lot. It was Kamon Tatsuo. He's like the Weird Al of Japan.
Oh, he did like parody songs? Like,
yeah,
they would be like...
so I know a lot of like the famous pop songs, but I only know the parodies. I don't know the original versions.
So is this like... See, I don't even know these bands, but what are they called? Like, is it called X Japan? What's that one that they just had like a reunion or whatever? They're like all old idols.
Oh, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay, but it might be stuff like that.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, we're just kind of rambling now, so maybe we should end the episode.
Okay.
This is a bit of a long one, longer than I would do by myself, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. Talk to you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.